Hi, Tamzin. Lovely to see you today.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm in Cambridgeshire and it's a little bit overcast today, so it's not quite so good.
Yeah, so I'm down on the south coast. I've been for a dog walk this morning and it was really nice, actually, nice weather.
Ah.
That's good.
Oh, lucky you being near the coast. I'm very
Yeah,
jealous.
no, it's lovely. Although, you know what? I'm near the coast, but I don't go down to the sea normally. I'm normally
Love that. Thank you for joining me today. And for anybody watching, this is Tamzin Hall. And Tamzin is a founder of your own company, the Neurodiversity Academy.
yeah.
And you do coaching, you're a trainer, you're trained on insights as well, just quite recently, and you're a consultant. So that is the business that you've set up. So we met, didn't we, Tamzin? I think in probably about 6 months ago. So a mutual friend put us in contact with each other, and we met each other and got on really great. So I've asked you along today to talk about your academy and what you do. And I'm really sort of focusing around like young people doing that move from into employment that can be really, really tough for some of them. And you've worked with some people, so it'd be great to talk through your experiences and what you see are key challenges. So yes, I'm really excited about talking to you today. Is there anything, I'm going to give you a brief introduction and I will put your details in the bottom as well. So if anybody wants to get in touch with you, they think, actually, I need to work with Tamzin, I will put your details in. But have I missed anything about your, what you do and yourself?
Yeah, very lovely introduction. Thank you so much. Yes, so in a nutshell, founder of the Neurodiversity Academy, which is coaching, training, and consultancy. And the reason that I founded the Neurodiversity Academy is because I wanted people to understand and have awareness of and see neurodiversity through a different lens, and whether that is a neurotypical understanding a neurodivergent or
Yeah.
neurodivergent understanding someone else who is neurodivergent. It's
Mhm.
all about that awareness and that understanding, and knowing that one neurodivergent individual is one neurodivergent individual. We're all different. On about, well, just slightly under 1,500 neurodivergent individuals that I've worked with, not one is the same.
Wow. Wow,
Um,
that's a massive amount of people, isn't it?
yeah, huge amount, but no one's the same. And so I really wanted people to understand just neurodiversity from a different perspective and a different
Yes.
lens, whatever that might look like.
And do you think that sometimes people put that in a box? Do you know what I mean? And it's like you've said, you work with all those people and everybody is completely different.
Yeah, absolutely. And even though I do what I do, this might sound a bit counterintuitive, but bear with me. I'm not a fan of labeling. So personally, I'm not a fan of labeling. I know it's absolutely right for some people.
Yes.
Because of that reason, Sandra, we're
Yeah.
putting you in an ADHD box, we're putting you in a autistic box, putting you in this. But actually, we need to look at the person, because the challenges and what's showing up for that individual what matters, rather than, I suppose, that diagnosis or that label. So, the amount of times that people say to me, I've got my diagnosis, and obviously to diagnose and to not diagnose are a long conversation, a large conversation. But sometimes people come to coaching, they say to me, I've got my diagnosis. Do you want to see it? And I'm like, I don't need to see it to coach you. I can coach you without
Ah.
seeing it. But the number of people that want me to see it is
Ah.
some people want me to, which is fine. I will happily look at it and
Yes.
read it. But I don't need to, because what a report tells me and the label that they've given you, to me, that isn't what matters. What matters is what are your challenges? What's showing up for you? And how can we help you to move forward? So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I think when we spoke, you were talking about working with people that were going from education into employment, but also you did talk about, which really sort of made me, I think, step back and think that people that had been working for a lot of years and sometimes the struggle to fit into that, back to a box again, that sort of work environment, and a lot of the coaching that you've done around that, which was absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, it's interesting, because we have environments, we have, say, school, say, college,
Yeah.
and then home life, and then maybe different settings for different employments as kind of we navigate the journey of life. And I find a lot of people if they've been in education, coming into work, everything's going to be different, but the perception is everything's going to be the same. And with every single
Ah,
environmental change, neurodivergent and also neurotypical will face challenges and things that crop up that maybe haven't cropped up before. So if we take school, or if we take uni into the workplace, for example, if the individual is lucky enough, they've been to a school where they have a great SEN provision, and I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. Obviously, we know that there's some schools that are fabulous and some schools that aren't. So we're taking an individual who's been lucky enough to have a great SEN provision at school, college, and then uni having also a great SEN provision. This individual will be leaving education having had strategies in place, support in place. They know what works for them, they know what doesn't work for them, they know what they need, they know who to go and speak to, all of this stuff in place. And then all of a sudden you're taken from education and put into a workplace, which is very, very different stresses, different environment, different support network, different expectations. And that change can evoke stress and feeling unable to navigate all those negative kind of challenges then coming back up. And so all those neurodiversity traits that were completely under control some of the time in school, all of a sudden are raising their head. And then what happens is, not only does this individual have all these neurodivergent traits that are popping up, is making them feel crappy, because why have I now not able to deal with this when I could deal with it before? And then negative self-talk and all of those negative emotions then come into play. And then in one setting, the individual might then get all that sorted and everything's fine. They've got the support, they've got the strategies, they've got all of this, and then they change again. And so every single setting, every single experience, it's all different. And so what the individual had, I suppose, in place and being able to understand and navigate through, of course, it isn't going to be the same. So hopefully with that, I'm helping people to understand, let's remove the pressure that what you know in one setting is going to be the same in another setting, because it isn't.
Because I suppose, like you say, that move from education into employment, but then once you get into a job, you might go and work in a different department. I mean, we've all been there, haven't we? Where, like, I don't know, maybe there's a job come up, or, can you go and help with a different department? Do you work in a different team? So it is always constantly moving, isn't it? It's always constantly moving.
Absolutely. And with that evolving and changing, we need to evolve and change and find new strategies and find new ways of working so that we're okay.
I love that. So when would you say is a good time? I mean, I suppose you work with people from all, I know we're talking about young people going from education into employment, but you work with people across all spans of life, don't you? So when is a good time to speak to somebody like, or do you know what I mean, or to explore that further, would you say?
So I think any time a trait or a challenge is causing you a sleepless night, or any time it's making you doubt yourself and question. So I do a lot of work with GCSE, A-level, trainee doctors, people at uni who are coming up to exam season and they're struggling with revision, memory, finding the time, procrastination, all of that. And we can nip all of that in the bud. We can have strategies and we can have ways of working and we can have techniques and tools that work. So as soon as there's that challenge and there's that, I'm worried about this, I'm concerned about this, it's impacting me negatively, that's when to jump on a call with somebody or reach out for support.
Yeah. And that's interesting as well, isn't it? Because I suppose if I think back to when I did my exams, so I just that was many years ago, but I still got that thing in my stomach. Then you go on and you do things like you're then doing other exams, aren't you? Do your GCSEs and then you do a driving test and things like that. And so all those feelings come up again, don't they?
Absolutely. And then if I look at the doctors that I work with, there's a very common thing that comes up is, I was fine at school, my GCSEs, I was fine, sailed through college, sailed through uni, and now I'm taking my doctor exam. Not only am I having to study, but I'm also working 9 to 5, sometimes shift work. I'm also having to write my portfolio, and I might have a family as well. And there's pressures of all of this as well. And there's so much going on that
Yeah.
in the past, it might be when all an individual had to think about was studying. Now they've got all these other things. Of course, it's going to be difficult. And of course, strategies that work back then won't work now
Yeah.
because we're adding so many different elements into life.
You don't really think about that, do you? Because, you know, and I know for myself, you know, I've had coaching at different stages in my career and my life, you know, things that have happened in private life or work. And actually, that's really interesting because then you then think, oh, well, this has come up, but then it's something different, isn't it? So, yeah, I hadn't looked at it like that before, but that's
I've recently moved, and this is slightly off topic, but there's a reason to why I'm mentioning it. So I've recently moved platforms, email platform, the platform that I have my courses on, kind of all of that. So I've moved a platform, and they have this fabulous thing. They say, if you're spending more than 10 minutes on something, I want you to stop and reach out to us. Yeah, I'm very untechy. I'm not good with tech whatsoever.
join the club.
Yeah. So working with a platform that says, if it stresses you out for 10 minutes, or if you're trying to work on it for 10 minutes and it hasn't worked, stop and reach out to us. And I really love that, because for me, that has enabled me to put my courses online, to sort out this email sequence stuff. And it's really helped me to create something that I've been struggling for years to create. So my philosophy is, with going back to the question that you asked, about when do people reach out to you? If you find you are struggling and that something is keeping you awake for more than one night, that's when you reach out. That's when you say, actually, I just need a bit of support. And that's okay.
That's really good. That's really good. I suppose going back to that are leaving, you know, youngsters that are leaving education, what you have talked about this a bit, I think, but the key challenges that they face, and I suppose you've talked about there about structure. You know, it's probably more structured, isn't it, at school and probably even at university, although different, and then going into the workplace. So, what comes up, I suppose, with all those people you talk to, like being their key challenges?
It's certainly going into a workplace where they're not geared up for supporting neurodiversity. And we are starting to see now organisations who are talking about it, showing that they are neuro-inclusive, which is fabulous. But if you're going from a college, uni, and you've been supported, you're used to that level of support. You're used to that level of, they have strategies in place, they have ways of working, they have maybe some colour overlays on the computers, maybe some noise cancelling headsets, maybe it's okay to do all of the things that you would do because they understand. And then you go into a workplace and all of a sudden it's like, well, you know, maybe I can't have my fidget thing on my desk. Maybe I can't, you know, I need something. I've got my ball here as well, you know, on my desk. I've got all of these things. So I've got a spinny, I've got a ball, I've got this, all of these things to fiddle with, because I know, especially, you know, on a thing like this, I need to be doing something with my hands. And you probably see me kind of waving about, and I know when I'm talking, I'm great at waving my hands about. So I have to try and have something that I fiddle with because my hands will be moving. But if you're going from a uni or a college that understands and embraces that into a workplace where not one person has got anything on their desk, it can be quite daunting. And that's when we then are forcing ourselves to mask and to fit into a mold that can be really, really challenging and can lead to us doubting ourselves, doubting what we're doing, doubting our capabilities. Because if you're on a meeting and you're used to being able to doodle or fidget with something, part of your brain that wants to kind of, you know, is hyperactive and is all over here, we're quietening that by doing this so we can concentrate in a meeting. But if we're all of a sudden in a meeting and it's, well, you can't play with that, you can't fiddle with that, you have to concentrate, it's really hard to concentrate, really hard to concentrate.
Yeah, that's interesting. And so, and I suppose on the other side of that, is there a bit of a call out to employers as well to be aware? Because actually, if that makes such a difference, are employers aware of that?
No, they're not. And I'm trying to beat that drum, and I'm trying to change it. It's slow, it isn't as quick as I would like. And having something like a neurodiversity passport or neurodiversity insight form. So I've got one, Sandra, that I will share with you. And if anybody reaches out to you after this and wants a copy of it, I'm happy for them to have it.
Fantastic.
And it's basically, in a nutshell, it's a CV for neurodiversity. It's a one page, maybe 2-page A4 sheet of paper, or online, and kind of a digital version.
Right, yes.
I'm really showing my age there. I'm really showing my age.
Well, I grew up with when there were old typewriters, you know, so I don't think you are, Tamzin.
No, it's just an A4 document that says, this is my neurotype, this is what I find challenging, this is what are my strengths, this is what happens when I'm stressed, this is what I need, these are strategies that work for me. And it can really help. And it does depend on the employer. So I am just going to put it out there, because we have to, I was sitting in a conference yesterday, and somebody asked a question around asking for reasonable adjustments in a interview. And I get asked this a lot. And when the question was asked, I thought this is going to be really interesting about what the person's going to say. And the way that I would always answer that question is, first of all, it's got to be what you feel comfortable with. And secondly, I would do your research to find out if that company is inclusive. Are they showing, not just saying, are they showing they're inclusive? Look on Glassdoor, look on Google reviews, look on locally. Is this employer a good employer, or are people saying avoid them? Because, and this is something that I, of course, don't agree with, but we're not there yet with this. Is there are some employers who they've got their own internal biases, or maybe it's something they've spoken about, but they will not employ people who are neurodivergent. That still happens. I don't agree with it. I'm trying to change that movement. So I think saying to somebody, always ask for reasonable adjustments, always go in and do that. I'm not sure that's the right advice. That was the advice that I heard was given yesterday. And I did think, given a bit uncomfortable, thinking, oh, you've just said to this person, always say, I think it depends on the employer, and I think it depends on the individual. And hopefully we'll get to a place where everyone feels comfortable and there's no biases and there's no preconceptions. But I would say, ideally, if you're neurodivergent and you're going from college, uni into the workplace, seek out those employers who are fully inclusive, because there are employers out there that actively recruit neurodivergent individuals. There's recruitment agencies who recruit neurodivergent.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah. I'll share it. I'll share it so you can put it in the notes of this. There's ways to find those companies who are fully neuro-inclusive. And when you find one and you walk in and they see you and they validate you and you feel this is the place I want to be, because every job interview is two-way. They're not just interviewing the candidate. You need to be interviewing them to find out, is this somewhere that I want to work? When you find that place, that's the place where you can say, do you know what, for this interview, I want the interview questions in advance. Here's my neurodiversity passport. Here's what I need. Here's how it's going to work. But to get to that place, we're not there yet.
And that's really good. And I think it's great why we're having this conversation, isn't it? Because although we start off, we're talking about younger people, actually, it's everybody, isn't it? And if we're running our own business, if you're an employer, all those different things, it's so important to consider, isn't it? And I suppose take a look at ourselves as well, isn't it? It's interesting you say, I'm just going to go back to like your hands, because I always have to sit on my hands. Because I'm like this, maybe I just need to be like this.
Never sit on
I don't
your
know why
hands.
I've probably forced myself over years working in companies to sit on my hands.
I was told by my manager once to sit on my hands to stop flapping around. But that stimming, that flapping is part of neurodiversity. I'm not saying that you are neurodivergent, but I'm saying for anybody that's listening to this that does,
yeah.
move their hands,
Mm.
it's also part of, and it's interesting because it's part of certain colour preferences, isn't it? So I know when I did my insights, that was one of the indicators. If someone's kind of moving their hands, look, there are certain colour preference. So it could be a number of things, but equally, I say I don't want anybody to stop being themselves.
No, exactly.
So let's, if moving your hands about is something that you want to do it. I do appreciate for some people it can be quite distracting. And I do know that when I'm up on stage and I'm talking, if I haven't got something in front of me holding me down, I walk the stage, I'm backwards and forwards, and I'm always walking down, which I think for some people, they're like, oh my gosh, I feel really seasick now.
I'm exactly the same. I'm walking around the whole time. So, yeah, I love that.
Maybe we should do something together and then we'll be bumping into each other.
That's our sunshine yellow energy as well, isn't it? So, love that. That's excellent. That's really, really interesting. Taken a lot away from what we've talked about and things I wasn't aware of. But I suppose just sort of a final bit, Tams, I'd be really interested. Have you got sort of like 3 top tips that you would share with young people? And I know you've talked about quite a bit already, but are there sort of 3 things off the top of your head that you would say, these are my 3 top tips?
Yeah, absolutely. So young people coming out of education into the workplace.
Yes.
I would say 3 top tips. Yes. Be you, be authentically you. And it can be quite difficult when we're desperate to get a job or we want our dream job and we have these goals and things we want to do. For so many years, I was showing up as somebody that I thought I had to be successful.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people have done in the past. And that's not only is it exhausting, not only is it hard work, but it holds us back in the long run. Be you. Be you.
Yep.
And be you. And if that means that you're somebody that does wave your hands around, wave your hands around. Don't sit on your hands.
What should be on the next video? I'm going to be like this.
So be you. Don't let anybody change you. We can put strategies in place for things that are challenging you, but don't let anyone change you. I think that's, and also find a company that values you. Find a company that wants your skill set and what you have to bring to the table. And if you go and you you feel comfortable enough to share, or you go onto Glassdoor and you see they're not an inclusive company, you don't have to take the job offer if they offer it to you. Choose a company that is going to embrace you and understand you and wants to help and support and develop you as an individual.
I love that. Yeah. So be yourself. Find somewhere that where you will thrive, I suppose, where it will support you, and then don't change yourself. So yeah.
And of course, if you do take a job because it's your ideal company and where you've always wanted to work and you've been offered the job and you want to take it. Of course, take it. And if they're not an inclusive company, pass them my details and I'll make sure they are an inclusive company.
Great. That's perfect. Oh, thank you so much. And I really hope this has been helpful. I mean, I've learned a lot, and hopefully other people watching as well. And I will drop your details below. So if anybody's interested in working with Tamzin or getting in touch, I'll put your details in. And then I love the idea about the passport that you've done as well. So it'd be great that we can share that. Yeah. Get the message out there, Tamzin. Yeah,
definitely. I'm just making out. I'm going to share with you the recruitment company details for the new inclusive recruitment company, and I'm going to share the details of the I call it a Neurodiversity Insights forms. Interesting. I named that way before I did Insights.
I thought you did Insights.
Yeah. No,
it must have been there.
Yeah. No, I did it years ago. So I will share that with you as well. So just so you've got that.
Fantastic. Lovely. And thank you ever so much for your time today. It's been really great chatting to you. So thank you, Tamzin, and speak to you soon. See you later. Thank you. Bye. If you liked the video, make sure to like, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any future uploads of Career Voices.